Hello, what's up, stay-at-homies? I hope you're doing great today. So today we are going to make some little puppets. Now, they might be finger puppets or stick puppets. I'll show you a couple different options. And actually, I'm going to make a couple of the characters from the story Peter and the Wolf, which I'm sure lots of you have heard before. I know some of you have heard it before in music class with me. Peter and the Wolf is a musical story. And so I was thinking if you wanted to, you could make all the characters from Peter and the Wolf, and then you could listen. I'll include a link in the description of the video. You could listen to the story, the musical story of Peter and the Wolf, and have your little puppets acted out as you listen. Of course, you could also do this with any other characters from other stories. There's all kinds of videos out there right now where you can listen to stories. You could act it out along with the video, or of course, it's always super fun to just make up your own story. So we are going to need some paper. We're going to need, drawing stuff, pencil and eraser, something to color, markers, pencil, crayon, whatever you want. You'll need some scissors. You'll need some glue. You'll also need some cardboard. So I have an empty Triscuit box here that I'm going to use. Okay, so I'm not going to make all of the characters today because there's quite a few. So this might be something that maybe I work my way up to. So maybe I don't get it all done in one day. That's fine. So in the story Peter and the Wolf, there's the character Peter, his grandfather, there's some hunters, there is a cat, a duck, a bird, and then of course the wolf. So 7 characters or 7 little puppets that you could make if you want to act out the story of Peter and the Wolf along with the recording. So I'll just make a couple today just to show you a method that you can use for making your own little puppets, and then you can decide if you want to make all the Peter and the Wolf characters, other characters, make up your very own characters. It's totally up to you. Okay, I think I'm going to do the cat. So I'm going to start off just by drawing my outline in pencil. And that way, if I make a mistake, of course, I'll be able to erase it. All right, so I've got my cat outline done, and next I am going to color it in. I think I'm going to make this cat this sort of light, kind of sandy brown. So there's my little cat. So I did a little bit of a black outline just to make it stand out, added a few details with a darker brown. So I'm going to do one other character. I think I'll make the bird. So same thing, I'm going to draw my bird with pencil, color it in with my markers, and then do an outline. All right, well, I'm not sure that's the best bird in the world, but that's all right. Actually, I think his tail needs to be longer. He looks kind of funny. Still looks funny. Oh well. I'm not really worried about making my bird look real, so I'm not even going to think about any specific colors. Maybe I want a bird that is pink and yellow and blue. Maybe a lighter blue, like that. It's my imaginary bird. I can do whatever I want. There's my weird little bird. Now the bird is quite large, and if this were real life, obviously the bird would be much smaller in relation to the size of the cat. But when I'm acting out my story, or if I decide I want to use these to put on like a puppet show or something like that, if I were to make the size realistic, my bird would be so tiny, it would be really hard for me to color and cut out. And if I was doing putting a show on for my family, to watch, it'd be really hard to see. So I'm okay with the bird being an unrealistic size compared to the size of my cat. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to cut these out, but I'm not going to cut them out perfectly. So it would be really tricky for me to get in around like the bird's feet or in here around the cat's tail. So I'm going to leave a little white border around the edge of my characters. It'll make it easier to cut out, and it'll make it easier to glue on and assemble our puppets. All right, so there's my cute little characters ready to be turned into puppets. Next, I need my cardboard. Just like when we used the cereal box to make our picture frames a couple weeks ago, or whenever that was, make sure that the box is empty. So it's actually something that you can use. And then you're just going to pull the tab on the bottom. It's okay if it rips a little bit because you don't really need this flat. And then you can find the seam like that. That one was kind of messy. All right. My next step actually depends on what type of puppet I want to make. If I want to make a popsicle stick puppet, then my next step would be to glue the character on. So I think what I'll do is make my cat into a stick puppet, and I'll make my bird into a finger puppet so I can show you both. I want quite a bit of glue, and I want to try and get it close to the edge of the paper so that it doesn't curl up once I've glued it onto the cardboard. Now when I cut this out, I can either cut right on the edge of the white paper, or I could leave a little border of cardboard. I think I kind of like the way that looks, so that's what I'm going to do. Do that so it's a little bit easier to manage. So all I need to do now is attach my stick. I've just got a regular craft popsicle stick here. I attach it onto the back, then I'm all ready. And I'm just using masking tape to do that. I could try to glue it on with a glue stick, but it might not hold when I start moving my puppet around and having my wild, crazy puppet shows. There we go. Hello. Okay, now for my bird. I'm going to make my bird into a little finger puppet that kind of loops over my finger so that I can move it around like this just with my hand. Now I'm not going to glue it right away. What I'm actually going to do is cut my cardboard first. I'm just doing this on the other side so that the pencil line isn't seen. So now I know the shape that I need. It's probably impossible to see on the video. I apologize. So I just traced around my bird shape, but I left a little bit of a border, just like I did for the cat. The next step is to attach my finger loop. And the reason I wanted to wait and not glue my bird on first is because I'm actually going to staple my loop onto the cardboard. And if I had already glued my bird onto the front, then the staples would be seen on my bird. If I staple first and then glue the bird on, the staples will be hidden under my bird. This is actually left over from my mini wheats box, and I'm going to use it because it's the perfect size. So I need kind of a skinny piece. And what I'm going to do is staple it on either side. Now here's a little tip. When you are stapling, if you staple upside down, then you'll have the flat side of the staple on the front. Perfect. So I've got the bumpy side of the staple on the back, the flat side of the staple on the front, and that of course is going to get covered up with my bird. So I'll do the same thing to the other side of my loop. Now I do want to curve my loop up a little bit. Make sure I can slide my finger in there. I don't want it to be too tight, but I don't want it to be too loose. So I kind of have to measure. I think if I cut it there, to glue it on, it's a little bit tricky now that we've got our loop on the back, but I'm going to go ahead and spread glue on my bird, on the back I should say, of course. Trying to get it nice and close to the edge without making a giant mess. Now I'm going to line everything up the way that I want it, and then turn it over upside down and give it a good squish. That way I'm not squishing my loop that I just made. Now is a good time for me to check and see if I want to trim anything and make it look a little bit neater. Okay, there we go. So I've got my bird finger puppet with the loop on the back. The cool thing about these little puppets, I could put another puppet over here, or even on my thumb, and I could have more than one character at a time. Or I can go with my stick puppets and make all the characters from Peter and the Wolf if I want to, or from any other story, or make up my very own. There's lots of possibilities. So if you want to join me and do Peter and the Wolf, check the description of this video. There is a list of the characters that you would need and a link to a video where you can listen to a live performance of Peter and the Wolf. It's fantastic. One of my favorite stories and pieces of music. So I hope you had fun making puppets with me today. Here's a little spoiler alert. Next week, I just might show you how to make your own miniature puppet theater, also using a cardboard box, a cereal box. So if you make some puppets, make sure to hang on to them. Put them in a safe place so that once you make your theater with me next week, you can put on a little show for your family. So it should be fun. That's it for me today. So until next time, be brave, be kind, and wash your hands. Bye.